week of November, it is important that we nail down what we started with. Today is another beautiful day. I was about to complain, why do you always say beautiful? But I remembered I'm seated next to a lady, so I should reserve that complaint. But it's a pleasure having you. And today we are looking at something very, very sensitive, yet very important, because it is one of the silent killers of our comrades out there in society. But I'll let our guest greet us. You've been away for about 2 or 3 weeks, yes. But we are glad we have you again today. Kindly greet our viewers.
Hello dear viewers, my name is Hairat Hussein Kizza. I'm a clinical psychiatrist working with Reclaim Rehabilitation Center located in Bwebaja. And I'm glad to share more and more about mental health, because the more we know about mental health, the better our lives become.
Sure. How is Reclaim?
Reclaim is doing well. Okay. Yes.
That's good. We are discussing a very important topic, especially the fact that we are in the 16 days of activism to end gender-based violence. And of course, this theme is a bit imbalanced, I could say, because it is more focusing on the women. Of course, the theme is unite to end violence against women, but there is also violence against men, and we cannot rule that out. However, there is a very big connection between this. I believe this is a timely topic, because we are looking at the relationship between trauma bonding and depression, and this is a very perfect timing, especially in a time where we are speaking against gender-based violence, because there is some likeness. And if we can start from there, because someone would really want to understand what trauma bonding is. It sounds like a very complex word.
It sounds like a complex English vocabulary, but here we break concepts down. Exactly. Because you may not know that you're one of the victims.
Exactly.
Yeah, so trauma bonding is just a psychological phenomenon that explains an emotional attachment, an emotional strength between a person with the other that is causing them trauma, or that is harming them, or that is causing them psychological distress. So it's where someone is too much attached emotionally to the party that is causing them harm, to the party that is causing them tears on a daily, but then they are too much attached to them.
That they can't even live without them.
However much they try, they find themselves too attached to these people that are causing them harm.
We've had some women say, of course, they're in toxic marriages, they're being beaten, but then a woman keeps on saying, into the rakubabana, and they never go. So at the end of the day, you who speaks against their marriage, you're the wrong person. Is this an example?
Perfect. That's why it's an interesting topic tonight. Most of the people there are in relationships where they do not find the happiness. They're not actually happy, but they're there because, I mean, what should I do? You know?
A days back, I was renting somewhere, and then our neighbors started fighting. So they fought and fought and fought. All of us were concerned, because somehow we had as if the woman wanted to break all the glasses, or including the neighbors' windows and what. So we all felt concerned. We came out thinking that we are offering support. Now, after a few minutes, of course, the man drags the wife inside, and in the next 2 minutes, they're laughing. And we all looked like fools. I felt bad.
And they're the wrong people. That's why people normally say that in relationships, don't add your set, because those people are going to go back in the house and they backbite you. So now, according to research, 5% of people in relationships are traumatized, but they can't live, and they're depressed. And amongst those, 1.7 times women than men. It means more women are suffering trauma-bonded relationships than the men.
Really?
Yes, I'm siding relationships as if it's the only, as if it's the only form of trauma bonding. So there are very many forms.
No,
of
but I think
bonding.
it is. I think the commonest.
The commonest.
Yes, it is the commonest.
The commonest is that, and the second to it is the child abuse. Whenever children are abused, they find themselves helpless. They do not know what to do. They don't have where to go, but then they're not happy with the caregivers. It could be the mother, it could be the father, it could be the maid, it could be a guardian of any kind. You know, you find a child so helpless to an extent, however much they're crying, however much they are so traumatized, however much they are yearning for help, they cannot do anything for themselves. So we term that as trauma bonding. You know that someone is causing you harm, someone is causing you pain, but you find more reasons to stay than more reasons to leave. So we shall find reasons to why people actually live in trauma bonded relationships. Another form of trauma bonding is human trafficking. Have you ever been human trafficked?
I've not, but I've listened to stories of victims.
You find yourself that they have put you in a situation where they have taken you in a place where you do not know, and the only way to survive is by being too much emotionally attached to the person that, you know, traffics you, because you do not know what to do. I mean, if I misbehave to this gentleman, what if he pulls me out of his house? I'm in the middle of the middle of the desert. I had a story, some country there abroad where there is a desert, and the woman was trafficked. Reaching there, she had to make sure she's so down to these people such that they don't just dump her outside. So we find people that are suffering human trafficking also facing trauma bonding because they do not know what to do. They feel desperate and helpless, and they can't live without the traffickers themselves.
I also watched an interview of someone who was trafficked to some country, and then they explain the pain, the risks that they go through, and then you who is listening to the story, you're like, but even up to that point, you still continue, but yet this person continues, and they tell you, yes, we continue, we go through this point, we go to the next point, and they still continue. Wow.
And the last form of trauma bonding is the prisoners of war, people that have suffered wars. You know, there is a way trauma bonding affects the brain. To an extent, it can even affect the parts of the brain and the functionality of the brain in a way that someone feels, I don't want to use the word desperate, but someone feels desperate to a trauma bonded relationship. They do not know what to do. For example, we have seen people that are in countries where there are very many wars, and if you tell them, what if we do an immigration and you go to this country, they feel like, no, I have to stay here. Who will take care of my children? Who will you take the whole family? So those people always get affected, and they find themselves being in trauma bonded relationships with their countries, with their husbands, with their bosses, with their, you know, mothers. The way we have explained all those forms.
Now, because while you talk about this, I realize that very many families at least have a link on what we are talking about. If someone is not in a toxic relationship, maybe they have a relative who is in a toxic relationship, or they have a child who has been abused. Recently, we saw a very scaring story of a woman who made a friend's baby feast on, I mean, it was all funny, but also you realize that, I mean, at least everyone has an attachment to this. Now, who realizes that I have a trauma bonding? You, the victim, or the overseer, the people who oversee? Mostly,
the victims don't realize they are in trauma bonded relationships. Some of them realize, and they do what you call gaslighting. Gaslighting is where you're emotionally suppressed, and you do, you be like, now what next? Anyway, so yeah, the people around you may notice, and they will keep telling you, are you sure? Are you sure that man loves you? Are you sure? Why do you have most of the days in tears and a few days happy? Are you sure that mother is doing the right things to you? Why don't you leave and maybe go to your aunties? Are you sure this is happening? So people around you will keep, you know, giving you insights, and you will not actually take them serious because you're too helpless. And we have very many characteristics of people, victims facing trauma-bonded relationships, and one of them is love and attachment. If you have too much love and attachment to someone that is causing you pain, you have too much love. If you notice yourself, you have too much love and attachment. Attachment is that kind of affection you get with someone. With a person causing you pain, I'm not focusing on only relationships that are intimate, that what we call the intimate partner relationships. I'm not focusing on only
the girlfriend, boyfriend, or husband, wife.
This is broad. However much it's taking the biggest percentage, but there is beyond those sexual relationships. It could be a teacher and a student. You know. So if you have that too much love and affection to a person causing you harm, you know they are causing you harm, but same time you're not at any moment feeling like adjusting the way you feel towards them, my dear. You may be suffering trauma bonding because this person is traumatizing your feelings. This person is affecting your psychological wellness. This person is making you cry day and night, but you cannot let go of those emotions, and rather they do not reduce at any moment. Then,
especially for those in the intimate relationships, someone will say, "Oh, you bamuloga, bamuteka muchupa," things like that.
We're going to see reasons why people stick in those relationships. Another sign of trauma bonding is if you're in a relationship and you feel like the person causing the trauma is 2 ways superior than you. Like, he's above you, he's your God, God on earth. I can't live without this person. You know you're helpless, you're like, you people, my man beats me day and night like a cow, but I can't live without him. Because trauma bonding moves in a certain cycle that we shall see. I can't live without this person, then you're facing trauma bonding. Another characteristic is having trauma and abuse, the major key thing. You're in a relationship, but there is a lot of trauma and abuse. Today this happens, tomorrow this happens. The other day this happens, you reconcile, then after 3 days this happens. Again, you're not willing to adjust. Okay, you feel sad a little bit, but then this person comes back and you're like, he at least apologized. You're suffering trauma bonding because you're living with a person that is causing you the pain, a person that is causing you cry all night, a person that is even affecting the way you work, but at the end of the day, you can't let go.
You know, there is a song out there where someone is complaining about the husband who comes almost in the morning, so he leaves today and comes back tomorrow. And then this one says, you're lucky that he even comes back. Whether he comes back at 3 a.m. or 5 a.m., at least he comes back. And then this one has that consolation. Yeah, at least mine comes back.
Sleep there. Yeah, those are all characteristics of a trauma-bonded relationship. And if you also start gaslighting, I explained gaslighting a little bit. It's where you suppress your own emotions, you deny, suppress your own emotions in a way to cover up something you don't want to accept. You're hurting, but you do not want to show you're hurting. You don't want to accept it, so you keep consoling yourself in a way that is actually not mentally healthy. You know you're hurting, but you can't accept it.
You come out. Before we leave that, you know, much as we do not want to limit it to these intimate relationships, but the fact that they take the biggest relationship, the biggest percentage. You've seen people who, for example, they admire certain things being done. For example, someone has their fiancé, they do this for them, or maybe they shop for them. So this person also does the shopping for themselves. and then of course maybe they'll give a delivery guy, so they go home and sit, and then while this person is there, this delivery guy will come with, and then they'll have to show everyone that Happy has also sent me stuff. Things are exactly
in my relationship.
We've also had others who end up buying for themselves flowers. I mean, others who do. I mean, someone misses maybe breakfast in bed, so they prepare the breakfast and then wake the husband up. They make them hold the tray. They sit on the bed, then and at least to get that feel. Is that also part of trauma?
That is not trauma bonding, basically, but it could be a reaction to stress. It could be a reaction to depression that is existing because someone is not giving them the breakfast in bed. They have developed the stress has become chronic, and now they're having depression that is related to the treat. Yes, we have also, I told you, there are very many disorders. It could be borderline disorder. The disease of the women. So let me tell you about the cycle of trauma. The cycle of trauma bonding, first of all, it's idealization, whereby you see things, someone does sweet things to you, he romanticizes, sorry for using he, she romanticizes. She romanticizes, she makes you feel your heaven on earth, like you see the life you really deserve elsewhere. You can't find the happiness elsewhere except with that woman.
Or that man.
Yes, or that man. Then afterwards, after that honeymoon phase, trauma comes in. Now this person starts showing the colors. You're like, oh, so this is her, this is him. This is my teacher, this is my boss. Now they start showing you the trauma, and when the trauma comes in, it really affects your emotional wellness. You be there, and first of all, you keep denying, how can he do this? How can she disappoint me to this extent? I mean, why? You keep denying till when you accept that things are serious, the man has slapped me, actually he has beaten me. Now you face those stages of stress, pain, depression. Most people get depressed from this phase. Now you see the relationship. Imagine this is the person you have been attached to so much. Like he's your key holder. Wherever you move, you feel like you should be with him. Anything that happens along the way, you feel like my girlfriend should know. Any border guy that messes up along the way, my mother should know. And then because you have that strong self-attachment, we call it a secure attachment with someone, you fail to believe that they can actually hurt you. And in a long run, you pass through this cycle. You get depressed, you start feeling sad persistently, you start having low appetite, you start having interrupted sleep, you're sleeping, but then you dream him yelling at you, and you wake up and think the whole night, you're like, hey, my man, hey, this girl is beautiful, she's a wife material, but why this, you know? So you start having those symptoms of depression, as we shall summarize them somewhere, and then from there, you go into what we call trauma bonding. This is where now you start bargaining. Like, okay, she came back late, but at least she cooks for me. At least she respects me. She washes for me. Now that stage, you're weighing the good things and the bad things in a relationship, and then you go into the stage of reinforcement, whereby you're now reconciling. You're forgetting as if nothing ever happened. And in this very stage is why you see things as light. You're like, he just yelled at me. You know?
I'm lucky.
He did this. Okay. Okay. Kasta, she pays for my school fees. Kasta, she didn't throw me when I was still a baby. I mean your mother now. Kasta, my father hasn't raped me like other girls. Let me be there. Now after that, we go back to idealization, where now this person making trauma trauma to you is coming back with the sweet words. They're going to apologize. They're coming back with roses, gifts, what to make you feel like heaven on earth. At least mine apologizes. At least mine brings me
things
roses.
are gonna be alright.
Yes, let bygone be bygones. No one is perfect.
I'm not an angel.
Yes, I also have my shortcomings. I think I should forgive him.
Just learn to live with my weaknesses.
Perfect. I think I'm just rushing into him. I think I had to understand. Now, in this situation, you're actually getting yourself wrong somewhere. You're gaslighting now. It will continue. After that first trauma will still come back. After trauma, you will have the bond. After the bond, you will reconcile and reinforce, you know. It keeps a cycle. That's why you see people,
each time you reconcile, you reinforce.
Because this person knows how to treat you. They know what you want to smile. They will actually show that character. If it's a woman that wasn't respecting you, that day she's going to come on her transport. She does all the housework, irons everything. For the first time, she will kneel down to serve you food. She will do the best out of the best. And you're like, my baby, she's so good. I think Bambo will did deco. Yes, after 2 weeks, she sleeps outside. She gives you stress again, because trauma is not necessarily, it could be physical, it could be emotional. It's not necessarily slapping you. People are suffering emotional trauma actually more than the physical trauma. They have been in relationships where there are women sleep in bars, where there are women, you know, do a So let's look at the causes of trauma. People do not know what causes trauma.
Before even we look at it, you know, you reminded me. I was standing on Sunday. I was standing somewhere, and I was listening to this. This, I think you call, he's a imam or sheikh or something. I don't know the right title to use, but it was a very beautiful sermon that I loved. And I took 30 minutes of my time to listen to it. But in relation to what we are saying, they are referring to a man who got married, who married this woman, and then the mother, the husband's mother, comes at home, but the woman didn't want to live with the mother-in-law at home. So what happens is the woman tries to find ways, forge ways, that can convince the man that the mother is bad and not being in that place. And I think she didn't succeed in all attempts. Now this time, she gets into the right thing. She gets some herbs and then plants them into the mother's bag and then tells the husband, you know, your mother came with some herbs, maybe she wants to bewitch me or what. Then the son goes, checks into the mother's bag and indeed finds. So the man hits the mother sustains an injury, and he sends the mother out of the house in the night. So while the mother was walking, I think she fell out with her life and died on the way. So news spread, then they realized it is the mother. So the maid was watching all these incidences. Now on the barrier, the maid shares the story. But I mean, I wanted to bring it to that point where you say that someone has to even hate all the family members simply because of this new relationship they are building.
It was a bad thing for the guy to lose a mom, because trust me, that trauma won't heal. He will have post-traumatic stress disorder.
According to this story, I don't know if the man is still alive or not, but the story ends in a man in India for an operation, cancer, something like that. But I think they have tried very many attempts and there's no what. So he was trying to say that at the end of that day, you will always pay for what you do. That was the end of the sermon.
The bad you do comes back to you.
But I look at what you've just talked about, and it is really very, very important. Now, we are going to take a short commercial break so that when we come back, we look at the causes of all this. But it's also important to remember that St. Mark's College, Namagoma, has organized for us the first of its kind Christmas cantata in town. This is the 6th edition of the Christmas cantata, but you should be part of this. I mean, beautiful production, angelic voices. I mean, it's really very beautiful. I believe you will love it. Now, on Friday, that is next week, Friday 6th December, we shall have the VIP show, and this goes for just 200,000 shillings only at 6 p.m. But also it comes with a plate, with dinner, not a plate, but with dinner. And then on the 7th, that is Saturday, that is the family show, which will go for 50,000 shillings, the adults, and the children will pay 20,000 shillings. Gates will be open at 6 p.m. in the evening. Therefore, be part of this cantata under the theme Breath of Heaven. We are coming back shortly.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives, regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from that commercial break. This is Family Hour. Today we are looking at trauma bonding. And trauma bonding, I mean, sometimes we console ourselves and things will be better, things will be all right. It's a test of time, such things. But I realize, I think, you know, you always tell us 5 out of 10, but I realize 10 out of 10 people are suffering.
We can't say 10 out of 10.
No.
You have to think about the narcissist group of people. The narcissists, those people that don't care.
Do you know?
You play with them.
They say that it is life that has tuned them to be that. Probably they have gone through a lot, and that trauma bonding is what causes.
And it's one of the biggest complications. We may not have time to look at the complications, but one of the biggest complications of trauma bonding is someone developing attachment problems, someone developing trust issues. Like they find you the good Adrian that has actually liked this girl and you want to marry her, but she has been into a trauma bonded relationship. She has just healed and she's not willing to give in again. She feels like all men are the same. That's why we say all men are the same. All men are like this. The mother of all women
is the same.
Yes.
Such things.
But there is a name they normally Batabani Bafala.
Batabani Bafala, those things.
You're finding a fresh soul trying to date a person that has been through several traumas, and the heart is now solidifying. Because every time a person passes through that depression phase to now coming back into reinforcement where someone comes back to you again, they cry a lot, and every time they cry, they can't cry the same. If you cried too much the first time, you may not cry the same time. So you find the heart solidifying. You get a good guy or a good woman when the heart has actually been, and now this partner of yours is trying to be so soft with you. You're
like,
and then you fail to give the best to this new person. That's the biggest complication. That's where now people are suffering with love, because they keep passing on that kind of trauma to the others. Because I once said that you can't spread what you have never had. Exactly. If you ever had trauma, you will spread trauma. If you ever had love, you will spread love. So we are looking at the causes of trauma bonding. I will start with the emotional causes of trauma bonding, because they are the most ones. Then we shall end with the brain chemistry, the neurological causes of trauma bonding. The first cause of trauma bonding, I'll repeat, love and attachment. People have too much attachment to the others. You can love your mother too much to an extent. If she disappoints you in a day, you may have a full week down. You can love this girl. I'm sorry to stick on intimate relationships, because they're the ones affecting everyone everywhere. You can love this woman too much to an extent, you can die and do anything to have her, to see her happy. But is she doing the same? That's the question. Is the energy equal?
And while you put in that energy, of course, those who have been there before will say, uniform.
Newcomer. Hey, actually, these days people go choose rule number 5. You have to put energy where it is. So, if we have too much love and attachment, we are likely to face trauma, because even when this person causes you pain, you will suppress it by the love they show you. You'll be like, So you choose to settle for the least, because you think at least he loves you. Okay, my man does this, my man doesn't give me money, my woman doesn't respect me, but at least she doesn't. Without her, no one can notice me. You trauma bond.
Friends that became family.
Yes. To an extent, this girl does the worst to you. This girl... accept that
Chiganye.
Nenkumbi jawasoso kulimisa mugondi wetukange koye. Let go, get a new one. Just in case you feel like I'm suffocated enough. Another cause of trauma bonding is having fear and anxiety. Some people have a lot of fear to the people that cause them the trauma now. Even me hearing the voice, they shrink and they're anxious. Both sides, they're anxious. They are too careful in relationships. How will he see this one? How will she see this one? Will she appreciate this? Will she do this? Now she's mad. What am I going to do? How am I going? You know,
when your husband is passing close to you, you feel they're going to slap you.
Perfect.
You
become hypervigilant. Hypervigilant is being too sensitive upon any stimuli. He's picking the phone, but you think he's going to slap you. He's trying to shut the door, but you think he's going to kick you out of the house. Why? Because you have experienced several traumas and you're still bonded to them. You can't let go. Another cause is the real history of trauma. If you ever faced trauma, you're likely to have trauma bonding because you have been resilient and your heart keeps telling you to be resilient. And I can't leave this as a cause, culture and norms. Culture, the norms and the values of the societies we grew in have also contributed too much in trauma bonding because, I mean, tosobola kunoba. Traumatic disorder, or what they call, it's called post-traumatic stress disorder, what they call PTSD. Most people use that term. But it can result from the chronic trauma in a trauma bonded relationship.
Okay.
Another cause is a lack of social support. Because someone doesn't have social support, they don't have who to run to, they do not have who to speak to when they're sad. Every time they feel like, okay, you know, lack of social support makes someone you know, but in actual sense, this person is causing you more harm than good. Then we have the neurological causes of trauma bonding, and one of them is the love hormone called oxytocin.
I think that is interesting.
Whenever you're near this person that causes you trauma, remember you already have an attachment. The love hormone is poured in blood, and it changes how you feel towards this person. You're like, today my guy is looking so hot, but inside you're like, he disappointed me. But because the love hormone has now been accumulated in blood, trust me, you're going to forgive him there and then. This is where you find your ex and you find yourself hugging her. Wait, did I just hug her? And from there, you continue. Before you know, they are now like this. And now you people that have been giving advice, you start being like, we have also adrenaline and dopamine, which are stress hormones that are released in the blood in response to stress. When they are there, you pass through the cycle of trauma bonding. But again, when now the period of reconciliation comes in, love hormones comes, everything gets back to the ground, you forgive your person, and then you go back. You know, so the hormones keep playing around your body and your brain and your blood, and you keep being in the trauma bond relationship. Then another one is trauma can lead to what we call trauma-induced changes in the brain, whereby it can affect the actual parts of the brain that are supposed to respond to emotions. We have what we call the limbic system. It is basically for emotions, the regulation. So because this part of the brain has been affected, even the secretion of certain brain chemicals, what we call the neurotransmitters, they are affected. Where you have to actually feel depressed, you may find feeling numb. You don't know how to feel, like, I don't know, I think I'm okay. And trust me, that is going to keep altering your whole body, and you may keep in the cycle. You don't run out of the cycle.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the question is, how does someone get out of this cycle?
How does someone break the chains of a trauma-bonded relationship? First of all, I would love to tell people that any journey of healing starts with acceptance.
Okay.
You have to accept that according to what they have shared on Family Hour. Evaluate yourself. Those 6 years you've spent in a relationship with someone, evaluate how many times have you been happy with them, how many times have you run to friends for advice. Evaluate yourself and find out how deep you're hurting, how good you're living with that kind of a partner.
And this is very important for people who are in courtship, actually.
Yes.
Very, very important that you pay attention to some of these things, that it shouldn't be going out to eat chips and chicken. They should also pay attention to some of these things, because when you fail to identify some of these things, there'll be the reasons you'll be crying eventually when you get married.
People don't mind about the so-called red flags, but they are key. Because they're the things that make people cry and regret. How I wish I followed my, how are they called? Ancestors. How I wish I followed my instincts. But I found myself falling in love. Anyway, he's also so good. Princess treatment will kill ladies outside there. So the first thing to break the chains is by evaluating yourself and accepting that you're in a trauma-bonded relationship.
Can someone be in a trauma-bonded relationship at a place of work?
Perfect. Remember, it is not basically an intimate relationship, but a strong emotional attachment between you, the victim, and the person causing you the trauma. It could be your boss. You're too attached to him. But then the work environment is really toxic to an extent. You go back home, and even when they give you the salary, you don't feel it's sweet.
While others celebrate, you don't even...
You're dying inside. So it could be between you and your boss, between you and your secretary, between that person that impacts your life, and you have a very strong attachment to them, but then they are causing you too much trauma. So it can also happen at workplaces, where I find someone being squeezed, even
when they are called for other opportunities.
Yes, they call you for bigger opportunities. You're like, I have my reasons to stay. And when you evaluate, those reasons are weaker than your mental health. Like, you feel like you deserve better, but you're desperate. You do not know what to do. You're helpless. You don't know what to decide and what to do. So the best thing is evaluating yourself and accepting that you may be in a trauma-bonded relationship. Why am I saying may? There may be causes of the so-called trauma, and actually it's not trauma. Trauma, to clarify something, trauma is not merely abusing you. Trauma is something that will affect you to a time when you feel like it's life-threatening. Someone may not beat you, but they may torture you psychologically to an extent you feel like you're losing your life. That's why we call it trauma. You'll be there and your husband backs at you and you're like, this is trauma. No.
And so you immediately say, I'm going through trauma bonding.
My dear, settle. Trauma is when the situation is nearly life-threatening. Ayinza obutakwata jambia. Naye kuvuma kwa kuvuma, you feel like you want to commit suicide, and that's life-threatening, and it's trauma. You'll be there and you're hyper-vigilant. Every time you hear a voice of a man, every time you see his call, you're like, oh my God.
There are people who call us and you first even
pray.
You breathe in,
Be
you
like,
breathe
"Good
out,
Lord."
and then
Okay. And when he puts the phone off, you're like, thank you,
Yeah.
God, I didn't die.
I mean, we always find people on tender hooks that on phone and then
Thank you, God. Yeah, those things. There are many reasons, but now we are specifically speaking about trauma. Then how you know it's trauma, please visit professionals.
Okay.
Visit a national referral. We have only one like this, Butabika. Don't care about the name, the stigma around it. Go, they are professionals. You can visit us. We are here to serve. It's a calling. You come and you may just consult, but that consultation may let you relieved. It's the initiation of healing. If you know about your problem, you come and discuss that treatment plan. Trust me, you won't say the same. Then another way to break trauma bonding is by getting a strong social support. Get those people you trust. By the way, not all people are good. You may think the social support you have is good, and we just pray to God. We do not check people's hearts. But get those people you trust and you ask them, hey people, in a genuine opinion, do you think I'm okay? Because social support that knows you will actually see behavior changes, they will see the mood changes, they will see everything changing, and they will notify you. Another thing is opening up to people that may help. This could be close relatives, this could be counselors, this could be doctors, this could be any people you could trust. And through them, they will give you some knowledge, they will give you some advice on how to confront a situation. Because you never know that time you speak to that woman, she's going to change and she will not cause you trauma again. And that's when now you start healing. And now once everything has failed, please accept to pass through the cycle of grief. Let go. Accept to get hurting. Accept to pass through that heartbreak. If it needs you to cry, please cry. If it needs you to go on a long rides, please have them. If it needs you to associate with other people of that kind, please do. But the more you keep in denial, kiriza omusajja akuchawe, kiriza omukazi akuchawe, because if you do not break those chains, trust me, you're not going to move on.
But now there are relationships that you can't just let go. For example, a parental relationship. You can't just let go of your mother and say,
That's now where we said you speak to professionals. We have different kinds of therapy. We may need to help you by just adjusting your time you have with your mother. Some people have healed so much by living home for some time. That time you're living home, you're realizing a lot of things. You're realizing what you used to think is wrong about her. At that time, she's missing you also. Now she's seeing how others are treated. She's seeing how other siblings react to her. Now she's also trying to weigh. And trust me, it may bring back the bond. That's why some people be like, hey, your parent will love you so much when you leave home. Sometimes it's therapy. So the basic thing is visit a professional, because this trauma bonding is not basically something you can manage on your own. I was just giving you highlights on what you could do, but visit a professional. They will help you. Visit us. We came to serve. Okay. We came to serve. And by the way, people with mental health these days, it's key. You have to look for like post-traumatic stress disorder. It is dangerous. You may get chronic depression, what we call a major depressive disorder. You may get that stress advancing into bipolar. And those are all chronic conditions that that cure on a different percentage. And as we are concluding, I can't not wait to speak about the symptoms of depression. You may not know.
Please do.
Depression is characterized by a persistent low mood nearly every day for at least 2 weeks. Why persistent? You're sad on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they take you out, you smile. On Friday, you go back inside the house, you get sad again. Saturday, they try to call you for a birthday party. On Sunday, you're sad. nearly every day for at least 2 weeks. Imagine 2 weeks. And that's low mood is associated by one, losing interest in your previously loved activities, previously pleasurable activities. Someone who used to watch soccer, Bibowa, you feel like someone who used to love finishing work on deadlines, or like your life changes, interests change. It's associated by loss of appetite or too much appetite. Those are eating disorders. You may have too much appetite. We may not go into that physiology. Some people may have very low appetite. Some people have sleep disorders. Some people become irritated. Like, in the morning they are okay, at lunchtime but depression. Some people speak alone. Others actually find less interest in their relationships. You think your man is cheating, but he's just depressed. He comes home, he doesn't want to touch you, my dear. He may be depressed, and you do not know, because it reduces the sexual libido as well, depression. Some people have a big percentage now, they have a negative thoughts, and the worst negative thought is the suicidal ideations. Some people start seeing what others don't see. But actually there is nothing that is happening to you. So those are some of the key symptoms we see in our society, and in case you see those on you, kindly don't hesitate to look out for this gentleman. He's a person now of health. I know in a nearby time you'll also be a doctor.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Because I mean, this information, he has a lot. Don't hesitate to look for us. You can always check out for us.
Kindly share a contact. I see asking for it,
yeah,
and a location, because you never know, someone has been stimulated to look for help.
I'm going to share our call number. Yeah. That is 07. I normally forget it. 0759 12 60 58 60. 0759 12 58. Or there is a personal number for consultations, and that is 0701 21 6008.
Again?
0701 21 6008. The first one is a call center number. It's always on 24/7. 0759 12 58 60. Don't hesitate. Remember, prevention is better than curing. And in mental health is easy to prevent, but treatment is at a cost. The cost that may not be only financial but also psychological. Imagine you having your mother who is having a trauma-bonded relationship and they're facing depression. Thank you so much for watching.
We really appreciate, wow, for the first time ever, I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say next. But I've worked with a very big team here. Of course, we want to appreciate Kizza, and then of course the other colleagues, Anaya, Didmas. We also have Elisha Sanya with us here, part of the team from Reclaim, and of course very many, plus you, our viewer. We appreciate you for watching. Thank you so much. And from the entire team, it's a good night. Let us heal our souls by